Hi guys, it's Miss McCafferty, and we are here to read the second part of our book, I Wonder Why Penguins Can't Fly and Other Questions About Polar Lands. Remember, we're focusing with a nonfiction text, and we are really emphasizing the aspect of text features. So here we go. Which animal bullies bigger creatures? The wolverine below is a fast and fierce hunter, armed with strong jaws and sharp claws. Arctic hares, squirrels, and birds are easy prey. But this dog-sized predator also steals kills from bears and cougars, and sometimes attacks much larger animals, such as caribou. A wolverine steals food from a grizzly bear. I don't know about you, but I am not going to go after a grizzly bear for its food. In the late summer, caribou stamp their feet, shake their heads, and run around wildly. They are trying to escape the warble flies that lay their eggs in the caribou's fur. Although the Antarctic coastline is home to many birds and sea mammals, the largest creature that spends its whole life on land is a wingless fly, only 3/10 of an inch long, or 7 millimeters. Look how tiny that is. That is a tiny fly with no wings. How do musk oxen protect their young? Adult musk oxen have sharp horns that can kill or injure the Arctic wolves that prey on the herd. When predators are nearby, the adults form a circle around the young, creating a spiky barricade with their horns. See how they're lined up and the baby's in the middle? Musk oxen have hardly changed since prehistoric times, when they lived alongside woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. Who puts puffins in danger? Puffins' natural predators include gulls, skuas, foxes, sharks, and killer whales. But humans are the greatest threat to their survival. Puffins feed on fish and other sea creatures, so they are endangered by overfishing and oil spills. In some places, people still eat puffins and their eggs. Puffins have backward-pointing spines on their tongues and tops of their mouths to hold on to their fishy catches. One puffin was seen with more than 60 fish in its beak. A skua chases a kelp gull. The wandering albatross is a super flyer with the widest wingspan of any bird, but it is very clumsy on land. It often turns somersaults as it crash lands and regularly trips over its own feet. A skua attacks a penguin colony. Which bird migrates from pole to pole? The Arctic tern breeds on the tundra and then flies to Antarctica as winter approaches. It makes the longest migration of any bird, traveling more than 21,750 miles each year. Although they have webbed feet, it seems that Arctic terns do not like the water. They swoop down to catch fish, but do their best to avoid getting wet. Are there pirates at the poles? Arr, matey. Skuas are often nicknamed pirates because they steal food from other birds in midair. They target penguin colonies too, often working in pairs. While one skua distracts a penguin, the other steals its egg or chick. Why can't penguins fly? Most birds have lightweight skeletons, but penguins have heavy, solid bones and a thick layer of fat to keep them warm. They would need huge wings to lift themselves up into the air. Instead, their wings have turned into small, stiff flippers that power their streamlined bodies through the water. King penguins dive down 980 feet in search of fish and squids. So here's an example of a penguin wing. Check out the bones. And here's an example of a gull wing. Do you see the difference? Look at how thick their bones are, and they are solid and heavy, and look how thin and tiny and fragile the gull wings are. Which one do you think travels better in the wind? The gull wing. Why don't polar bears eat penguins? A polar bear would have to swim a long way to eat a penguin because they live at opposite ends of Earth. Polar bears live in the Arctic and penguins are found only south of the equator. At 5.5 feet tall, a penguin that waddled the Earth around 40 million years ago could have easily have pecked a man in the eye. Fossils of this Antarctic giant were found on Seymour Island. Why don't penguins' eggs freeze? An emperor's penguin egg would freeze in minutes if it were left on the ice. So the penguins balance the eggs on their feet and keep them warm inside a brood pouch. This is a flap of featherless skin that wraps around the egg. Which seal is a champion diver? Weddell seals dive down to 2,300 feet in search of fish and squids, and they can stay underwater for more than an hour. Their strong teeth help chew breathing holes in the ice, and they sometimes blow air into cracks in the ice to startle fish, which then swim right into the seal's mouths. Southernmost seal. Weddell seals live in Antarctica, farther south than any other seal. Polar fish have antifreeze in their blood to stop them from freezing solid. This fish antifreeze is sometimes used to stop ice crystals from forming in ice cream. Ew! Where would you find a bloodless fish? The crocodile ice fish that lives in the sea around Antarctica has no red blood cells, so its blood is clear, just like water. The fish gets its name from its long snout, which is packed with white teeth. As walrus warm up in the sun, blood flows to the surface of their skin and they turn from muddy brown to pink. Who is called the unicorn of the sea? The male narwhal's unicorn-like tusk is actually an overgrown tooth. When the whale is 1 year old, one of his 2 top teeth grows through his lip. A 10-year-old narwhal's tusk can be 10 feet in length. 10 feet, boys and girls. That is a long, long tooth. Which hungry gulper eats 4 tons a day? The blue whale is the biggest creature ever to have lived, yet it feeds on some of the smallest animals. Blue whales eat krill, swallowing more than 4 million each day during the summer months when they come to feed in polar waters. Why are polar seas so lively? The oceans around the poles are teeming with life. Cold water absorbs more oxygen and currents carry nutrients to the surface, where they feed the phytoplankton, microscopic plants eaten by krill, which are an important food for many sea creatures. The Antarctic seabed is home to many strange creatures, including sea squirts that look like glass tulips, huge starfish, and sea spiders the size of dinner plates with up to 12 legs. Eek! Blue whales are not only big, they are very noisy too. Their calls are louder than a jet engine and can be heard more than 500 miles away. What are krill? Krill are tiny shrimp-like animals that gather in swarms up to 4 miles long during the polar summers, often turning the water pink. 1 gallon of water can contain 250 krill. What does Antarctica tell us about space? The only place colder than Antarctica is outer space, so it is the best place on Earth to test the space robots of the future. Underwater vehicle endurance has been studying Lake Bonny, but one day it might explore the ocean that scientists believe lie beneath the icy crust of Europa, one of Jupiter's largest moons. Why is Antarctica a meteorite hotspot? There is nowhere better to search for meteorites because they are so easy to see on the Antarctic ice sheet. Nomad is a robotic meteorite hunter that can tell the difference between a meteorite and a normal rock. Some of the meteorites it has found have come from Mars. Scientists have found large amounts of cosmic dust in Antarctic ice cores. They think the dust fell to Earth when a giant space rock exploded above the continent about 480,000 years ago. Why is ice like a time machine? Each layer of snow contains clues to what is happening in the world. By drilling out cores from polar ice, scientists can unlock the past and learn about volcanic eruptions, forest fires, dust storms, and temperature changes that occurred up to 750,000 years ago. Because Antarctica is dark both day and night during the winter, and the dry air is crystal clear, it is the best place in the world to view the stars. Ice cores are long cylinders of compacted snow. They contain ash, dust, chemicals, radioactive substances, and even material from outer space. Who pollutes the poles? Sadly, human activities sometimes produce chemicals and oil spills that pollute our world. Winds and ocean currents may carry these pollutants to the poles, where they can harm the creatures that live there. Plankton absorb pollutants and are eaten by fish. Seals eat the fish and the harmful chemicals are stored in their fat. When polar bears eat the seals, poisons build up in their bodies. What is the ozone hole? Ozone is a gas in our upper atmosphere that protects us from harmful ultraviolet rays from the sun. Human-made chemicals can destroy ozone, and every spring, the ozone layer above Antarctica has been getting thinner. A smaller ozone hole has recently appeared over the Arctic too. What if all of the polar ice melted? If the polar ice caps melted, the sea would rise by about 200 feet, and many low-lying countries would be flooded. But it would take thousands of years for this to happen. Who lives where? These lists are a guide to the natural habitats of the animals shown in this book. So in the Arctic, we have the Arctic fox, the Arctic ground squirrel, Arctic hare, Arctic wolf, caribou, also called reindeer, collared lemming, ermine, grizzly bear, muskox, narwhal, polar bear, puffin, snowy owl, walrus, wolverine. Antarctica, we have crocodile icefish, kelp gull, penguin, wandering albatross, wattle seal. Here are animals that are in Arctic and Antarctica: the Arctic tern, the blue whale, krill, and the skua. Here is our index. Our index gives you an alphabetical listing of where you can find specific words. So if you just wanted to read the pages that deal with polar bears, you would go to P for polar bear, come down, find the word, and you go to page 7, 16, 23, 30, and 31. So this is an index. If you want to find something specific, but all about that one subject, this will give you all the page numbers that you can find krill on, lemmings, caribou, dinosaurs. Notice dinosaurs and deserts are only on one page. And here is the back cover. The end of part 2, I Wonder Why Penguins Can't Fly, and Other Questions About Polar Lands.